Sons of Anarchy live pre-show chat. I'm Jennifer Lothrop, and I'm here with the star of the show, Katey Sagal, who plays Gemma, and Kurt Sutter, the creator and executive producer of Sons of Anarchy. Welcome, you two. Thank you for being here tonight. We've got a lot of questions for the two of you. What do you say we just jump right in and get started?
There we go.
All right. Well, the first question is from Mila in our studio audience here, and it's for Kurt. Was it hard to sell a show about an outlaw motorcycle gang to network executives, even ones willing to take a chance, like at FX?
Actually, no. I think we had a fairly thorough pitch put together, and at that point I had a lot of the mythology carved out, and so we pitched it, and there were actually several networks that were interested in the show, and I think each network had their own sort of perspective. That's the long answer to no. It was not hard to say.
Katey, the Gemma character is three-dimensional and very multifaceted. Is there any personality trait of hers that wasn't written by Kurt here and instead was suggested by you as a woman and a mother?
Not so much the personality traits. She was pretty well flushed out when Kurt gave me the script, but definitely I have my input about hair and makeup and wardrobe, and I tend to like to sort of fall into the character based on the look of the character. That really helps me.
Heather wants to know, and I do as well, how do you stay in such great shape?
Really? Mm-hmm. Thanks, Heather. Well, I actually, I have been exercising most of my life, so I think that's one of the keys to staying emotionally in shape and physically in shape. I think that, and I like to eat, so I have to exercise. So I exercise probably 5 or 6 days a week is what I try to do.
Very cool.
I didn't get that question.
He does too.
Okay, how do you stay in such great shape?
It's too late.
Katey helped you. All right, well, Kurt, I'm going to ask you this next one. Sabrina wants to know, what was the hardest and most despicable thing that you've ever written for Jax to do?
Wow, there's so many. I don't know if I would call it the most despicable thing, but I think it's definitely, it's probably the most calculated move that Jax has ever made, and but I don't want to. I don't want to spoil it, but it'll happen this season.
All right, we'll have to watch. Kurt, Angeline wants to know, what inspired you to create such a very raw and realistic drama about one of the least known underground lifestyles in today's human society? She doesn't think that there could be better actors and actresses for each character.
Thank you. I think that's true.
How do you think this role compared to the other roles that you've played?
Well, it's really what I was looking to do. I'd been doing comedy for so many years, and which has been a blessing. But it was something that I, just as an actor, I wanted to expand on what I'd been doing. And a part like Gemma, when you're so known for comedy, was not necessarily banging down my door. So I was moving in a more dramatic area, but thankfully Kurt wrote me this beautiful part, and FX, we had to be approved, and they approved me, and so it's been a real opportunity for me as an actor to not to sound too cliche, but to grow, to really expand what it is that I'm doing. So ultimately I stay interested, I just want to stay interested, and this part has allowed me to explore different things, and it's been great.
Will anyone ever find out about Gemma and Tig?
I think it's the kind of thing where, right? Wasn't it Tig who put the brakes on? Yeah.
Oh yeah. He did.
But sometimes in those dynamics, when you throw in a lot of weed and a lot of booze, I think sometimes those things, those dynamics are prone to happen, and I think there's always been some sort of flirtation with Tig and Gemma. I don't think anything like that has ever really happened before, nor do I think that it will necessarily happen again. So I don't really think the two of them think about the ramifications of it, because in their minds it's sort of it didn't happen, and they just sort of move past it. So.
Right. All right. Will Otto ever get out of jail and come back to the club?
No.
And Otto is, you're playing Otto.
Yeah. No, Otto's days will only get darker.
With fewer limbs.
Oh, no way.
That's my pitch.
Yeah.
That was a horrible scene. God, it was hard to watch.
Yeah. It'll be a stump.
It'll be a stump by
But,
the end.
Oh my gosh.
Just
We
be
did
a
a
head
great
on
job.
the table. Yeah, thank you.
Very good job. Well, Katie, Matt wants to know, which do you enjoy the most? Drama acting, Sons of Anarchy, sitcom acting, like Married with Children, or cartoon voiceovers like Futurama? And also, is there any of Peg and Gemma?
I like anybody who employs me at the time. I mean, I'm not, I feel grateful for the opportunity to work in all those different ways. So and it kind of depends what job I'm doing at the time as to what's my favorite job. I mean, I like them all.
Well, Katie, this next one's for you. Are there any difficulties working so closely with your husband here on a daily basis?
Well, let's see, what day is it today?
Tuesday.
No, actually, it's got its, I'm going to say mostly it's very, very positive, because when we work, it's hard to find time to see each other.
Katie, also Deborah wants to know. First of all, she says she loves the way you dress, and she wants to know if there's any chance of a Gemma line coming in the future.
I want to give kudos to Kelly Jones. She's our wardrobe designer, and Gemma has very cool clothes. Well, I don't know if there would be a Gemma line. I never thought of that. I'm sure, not bad. Too bad we wouldn't own a piece of that, though, honey.
But Fox would.
But Fox would, that's right. So, no, I haven't had that conversation, but,
Go Katie line.
the wardrobe is smoking. The shoes are great. I love my boots. I love all the clothes.
You look hot. Very hot. I think a lot of female viewers want to know this. Will you be showing any more beautiful butt shots of Jax?
Every episode.
All right.
I'm not an idiot. His shirt is either off or his pants are off every episode. So.
All right. So y'all watch for that.
Yeah.
So that's yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, Kurt. Lori wants to know, will it ever be told what really happened to Jax's father?
I think ultimately that will be revealed. Hopefully if we get the opportunity to play out the full mythology, that information will come out. Yes.
Cool. Is there one particular scene or something Gemma did that really stands out to you?
Oh, there's several things, really. But I love that skateboard scene, too. What I really liked about the whole scenario was, Kurt decided to tell the story of a woman going through menopause, which I thought was really bold and real and brave. And having been through it myself, understanding, still going through it, the ups and downs of all that. And what I like so many of the moments that Gemma has is that you see the humanity of this woman who, very strong, very tough, and then very human at the same time.
Now, Kurt, Debbie wants to know, could there be a sequel, Daughters of Anarchy? And if so, her and her girls would like to be in it. I would too. I just got my motorcycle license. So.
Awesome. You never know.
No?
You never know.
All right.
Yeah.
Katie, Pam wants to know, do you have any real-life similarities to the hot biker mama you play on Sons?
Well, this is my similarity. My background before I started being an actor was I was in rock bands. I was a singer, and I spent most of my 20s being on the road with bands, and that's how I made my living. So there's something very similar about being with a group of guys like this that reminds me of being on a tour bus heading across the country. So yeah, there is some of that, and that was a very compact world. You sort of felt like little anarchists, when you're touring. So I think there is some similarity there to a bit of my past.
The plot of the show is pretty serious and dramatic. But what is it like on the set while filming?
Pretty serious and dramatic. No, it's a combination of a lot of things. It's the casting of the show has been so fabulous, and the guys all have very distinct personalities. There's some big personalities, and they have bonded just like you would think that they would. So it's an interesting dynamic. Sometimes when you're there with all of them, you can kind of feel like the odd man out because they have such a camaraderie amongst them. And, there's an equal combination of joke telling, I would say, as serious drama. They're also, what's really great is everybody's invested in doing a good job. So everybody brings like their A game to their character. There's a lot of conversation about their character. There's a lot of questions as to why they're doing what they're doing and would they be doing what they're doing. So that's a great environment to be in because nobody's just, there doing, a mediocre job. Everybody is very invested. So that's the biggest energy that I feel is commitment. And if there's ever any serious drama, sometimes it's about, wanting to do the best job and maybe rubbing against somebody else's opinion about that. And it's a very passionate set, I would say.
Cool. Very cool. Okay, well, this is for actually both of you. Rick would like to know, what are your all-time favorite TV shows and ones that you have not been on?
Oh, wow. Home Hunters International. House Hunters International.
Yeah. Looking for a house?
No, but that's what we like to watch together.
We watch a lot of HGTV.
Yeah. Awesome. What are your favorites?
Well, currently, I'm a big fan of Mad Men and True Blood, and I'm a huge Jon Stewart fanatic, but bigger shows or a bigger span of time, I was talking to somebody about this recently, like Homicide and Hill Street Blues, like those are some of the shows that really, that impacted me and made me want to, got me fascinated about, the 1 hour drama as an art form,
That's how you grew up. You were in front of a TV a lot, you said.
Pretty much, yeah. That was my babysitter growing up. So.
How about you?
Favorite TV shows. Well, the shows I like to watch now. I just watched The Big C. I thought Laura Linney was amazing in that, and I like Nurse Jackie a lot. I think that's a great show. And shows that I would have wanted to be on. Once I auditioned for The Sopranos, I thought that would have been great. But they wanted an Italian person, so I was doing my best Italian.
I thought on bikes,
I thought I could. So certainly I loved that show. And, actually I was watching a rerun of MASH. That was a great show. That was a great show. Alan Alda, MASH. So, there's lots. I love television. I think television's a great medium. And I like it more and more. I like that it's so broad now, that there's so many more channels and so many more choices. And, I enjoy it.
How did you get ready for this role? Now, did you just study the clubs?
I tried to find research on the women in that culture, and there's very limited research on that. And, Kurt came in with a pretty full story arc and mythology about all of them, but I couldn't really find an archetype for Gemma. I don't think there actually is a Gemma. So in my brain, I'm not going to tell you who, but she's a combination of sort of some royalty and some political figures and I have sort of ideas of who she is in my head in that world. But it was very, it was interesting to read research just about motorcycle clubs, but the women there's just not a lot of written about them. I've certainly met a few women that look like Gemmas, so I've kind of taken pieces. But Kurt came in pretty well flushed out. I would ask him questions at the beginning of the series, and he would have an answer, which would be like, wow, he's really making this up, but it all sounded so real. It was great.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Thank you guys for coming. Congratulations on season 3.
Thanks.
And thanks to all you fans who submitted questions out there. Now let's get ready for the premiere of season 3 of Sons of Anarchy. And don't forget, Sons of Anarchy, season 2 is out on DVD.
There's a man with a gun over there.
Yay!
Yay!
Now, I think it's time
think it's the kind of thing where right? Wasn't it? But the ramifications. I think it's a very close-knit world, and I don't want to say it's incestuous because that makes it sound dirty, but it's just very close-knit, and the bonds are very deep, and they're very enmeshed.
Could there be a sequel, Daughters of Anarchy? And if so, her and her girls would like to be in it. I would too. I just got my motorcycle license. So.
Awesome. You never know.
Yeah?
You never know.
All right.
Yeah.
Daughters of Anarchy. All right. We're working on it.